Small Soldiers is a really fun film. This was released in 1998. It's directed by Joe Dante. And we have a great cast, including Kirsten Dunst, Gregory Smith as Alan. I love the character of Alan. We also have a brilliant voice cast for the Gorgonites and Commando Elite, including Harry Shearer, Jim Cummings, Christina Ricci and Sarah Michelle Gellar also voice some characters, and the concept is really brilliant. This is about little toy soldiers and toy Gorgonites, and I will talk more about those in a moment. And the factory where they're made, or the company that makes them, somebody implanted some chips into the toys, and they didn't realise that these were chips intended for the military. And the toys end up in the toy store owned by Alan's family. And Alan realises pretty early on in the film that these toys are alive, if you like. They are controlled by these chips, of course. And we have the Commando Elite, who are these very military-looking, soldier-like action figures. And we have the opposing side, the Gorgonites. And these are monsters, creatures. They all have different designs. They all look really different. I really love the design of them. I thought they were really fun. I love the design of the Commando Elite as well. They do look like action figures. And according to Wikipedia, it's actually 1/3 puppetry and the rest of it is CGI. And I think that that's a really great mix. And visually, it looks great. The movements of the characters are great. They have some amazing facial expressions. I absolutely loved the actual design and CGI of the Gorgonites and the Commando Elite. And the film is about the Commando Elite trying to wipe out the Gorgonites. And the main Gorgonite tries to get Alan to help him. And the other Gorgonites, meanwhile, Commando Elite, are building up their army in a scene that I absolutely loved. It's a tiny spoiler, so I'll discuss it at the end for the spoiler warning, but they're preparing to launch their attack on the Gorgonites. And it is tremendous fun. I don't want to say any more than that about the specifics of the narrative, but I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was a great concept. Very, very well executed, very well written. The voice acting is brilliant. The visuals, it's just absolutely fantastic. I did look at it and think, okay, it's quite long. It's about 1 hour and 40 minutes, which is not tremendously long in general. In fact, I think it's slightly closer to 1 hour and 50. But I did think, is this kind of narrative going to have enough substance to sustain itself for that duration? The answer is yes. It definitely does. There wasn't really any point when I felt bored. And I think there are a few reasons for that. The first is just the concept. It's really fascinating and very well executed. The second is the character of Alan. I think he was a very likeable protagonist. I really enjoyed following his journey as he began to understand what was happening, and then obviously his role with the Gorgonites. And I had a lot of fun with watching him interact with the Gorgonites as well. There's one scene where they're looking out of a window and it's just so beautiful. And they're talking about wind, which sounds really dull, but actually it's really fascinating. We just have these little snippets of fascinating insights, and the Gorgonites are learning, and it's rather beautifully done, actually. And the third reason, absolutely, is the visuals. The actual puppetry and the CGI, just absolutely fantastic. Such a delight. Sometimes funny, sometimes really creepy, because even though the action figures, the Commando Elite, are obviously quite short, they're very powerful. Obviously, they have these chips in, which makes them really powerful, and it's kind of scary. It's not a horror film, it's not a scary film, but there are times when I just think, I wouldn't want to be alone with any of the Commando Elite, put it that way. But I absolutely adored it, and I thoroughly recommend it. I will now mention the one scene. I love pretty much all of it, but just one scene that I just thought the transition was beautiful. So this is a spoiler for something that happens. I don't think it's towards the end. I think it's maybe around the midway point. I'm not sure, but it's certainly deep into the film. And this is the point where we see the Commando Elite creating new soldiers. They're creating female soldiers. And my first thought is that somebody's been taking advice from Mary Shelley, because they are bringing together all of these elements and creating these beings. And I think even one of them said it's alive at one point, so definitely getting a lot of inspiration from Shelley. And then immediately it cuts to the next scene of a Gorgonite watching Frankenstein, the film, on television. And I just thought that was beautiful. It's such a small, subtle thing. And I rather enjoyed it. It's a great film, well written, well executed, a lot of fun. And if it sounds like it would appeal to you, then I think Small Soldiers is absolutely worth watching.